week before Christmas, I think. And I have another holiday tutorial for you. I am making these music note, I'm going to put them where you can see them, music note Christmas tree ornaments. I will put pictures up of the 3 different ones I have made in the tree just so you can kind of see the differences in them. This one here is the one that we're making today in the tutorial. I chose to use this green because of the thing. As you can see, there's different places to hang them. I will talk about that, and the picture I'll put over here. It has it where the hanger comes out of the hat. That was the first one I did. This is my new preference. I feel like he stands up the way that I want him the best. And so I'll talk about that and talk about the different ways and things to do with that. So let's get over to the creation station and learn how to make some cute little music note ornaments. Okay, let's talk about supplies. Okay, we need a color for the music note. I typically use black, but for tutorial experiences today, I'm going to be making this seafoam light green. I wonder what color it really is. It is called Jade. So I'm using Jade green. As you can see, it's Red Heart Super Saver. It's worsted acrylic yarn, and it doesn't matter what brand. You could probably use cotton. I mean, really, truly, you could use anything because it's like a little stuffy thing. It would just change the size. Like, I think like the one weight cotton that I've been using for other projects would be really cute. But I'm using worsted weight. So we have our music note color, whichever color you prefer. I'm going to be using this color. And then you need a color for the main part of the hat. So I have this reddish color. It's probably a cherry red. And then I have also a white, my big honking thing of white, for the pom-pom and the brims. So those are our yarn colors. For the eyes and mouth, if I were doing black, I would use a white. This is an embroidery floss. You could use whatever color you want. I like the way the white looks on black. I also have a black. I might use black or I might use white. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm just going to stick with white for this one. To do just the face and the eyes, you can do any color you wanted. You could use yarn if you wanted to. I'm just going to use embroidery floss. Okay, and then for the hook, now see the yarn here. Okay, so this suggests a hook size I. The crochet hook that I have is actually an H. I would even suggest going down to a G. You want it to be a little bit smaller because the other thing you need that I don't have with me right now is stuffing to stuff the inside of it. And you do want a denser fabric, and so you want a smaller needle crochet hook to get a denser fabric. So it might be a better idea to even go down to a G. I'm going to use my H. But if you find that you can see through, like it kind of has holes or whatever when you stuff it, then you know that you've used too big of a hook. Okay, so of course you'll need scissors and you will need a needle, like a darning needle. The first thing I want to talk about is up in the iCards I will have a playlist of all of my basic stitches. We're going to be using chain stitch, like pretty much all tutorials, like all patterns call for some kind of a chain stitch. You'll be using the single crochet. We might have a half double crochet. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But those are some of the basic things that you need. And I'm going to have in my playlist is also a circle pattern, which is helpful. I'm going to do my magic loop, hold my yarn in here, wrap it around my finger, wrap it over so there's an X on this side. I'm going to pull up through. So let me do that a little slower. X on this side. I'm going to go under in front of my fingers, pull that yarn up. Oops. Pull that yarn up. And then I'm gonna grab this one. It's awkward for me because of the way I hold it, but then I'm not gonna pull it too tight because this right here is, we need this. Okay, and so then I'm gonna chain 1, and then I'm gonna do 6 single crochets all in this over, working over my tail. Okay, and now I'm going to pull this to pull that around. And I'm going to count back 2, 4, 6, because it does get a little awkward because we have that chain 1 there. I want to make sure I'm going in the right place. So I'm going to do my chain, join, and I've made my first circle. I am going to go back in and kind of weave this in just a little bit at the end because I prefer mine to be that way. Just feels more secure to me. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So there's 1 and 2 in that first stitch, and 1 and 2 in the second stitch, and 1, 2 in the third, 1, 2 in the fourth, 1, 2 in the fifth, and this is the last one. And so I'm going to, and as you can see, this is why I like to tie it, because mine came undone. I don't know if I do my magic loops different than other people, and that's why mine come undone, but I just always sew them in and it's fine. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We're going to join in that first single crochet and chain 1. And now we're going to do 2 in this stitch and 1 in the next. So 1, 2 in this stitch, 1 in the next stitch. And we are going to repeat that around. 2 in this stitch and 1 in the next stitch. 2 and 1. Okay. Okay, and now we should have 18. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And I'm going to join in the top of my first single crochet. And then I'm going to do another chain. We're going to do one more round. So this time I'm going to single crochet in one, single crochet in the next one, and then I'm going to increase in the third one by doing 2 stitches in that stitch. So we're going to repeat that around. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and increase. 1, 2, the same stitch. We're going to just keep going. Okay, and I'm going to count, because we should have 24. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Okay, you're going to be making your 2 halves slightly different from each other. For the first one, because you're going to do 2 to this point, right? You're going to do this, we're going to make the first stem, and then you're going to go to this point again and do the second stem. But we're going to join differently for the second one. So we're just going to join our typical join. Okay, and then we're going to single crochet without chaining. We're just going to single crochet right in that spot. And then we're going to do a half double crochet right there. And then we're going to chain 15. And if you wanted your note to be taller, you of course could go make more. We're going to talk about ways to do the hook. I do mine where it's just coming out of the top of the hat, but if you wanted it to come out of the top of the note, then either here or on the other one, or when you're joining the two together, you can leave a big loop. So what you do is you loop it over your finger, and then you're gonna actually, maybe from behind, that way it locks. You're gonna pull it through, but you're not pulling. Sometimes I frustrate myself. Okay. To leave a loop here, you're gonna leave this over your finger, but you're actually gonna come around and grab the other yarn and pull that through, and then go into your place and pull that same one through again, and then when you drop it, you can finish your single crochet and you got yourself a little loop. That's one way to do a loop if you want to do it now. You could also do a loop when you are sewing it together if you want it to be at the end of the stem. Sorry, I was like, what's the music term for that? It's a stem. I, however, am not going to put my loop there. You could also use embroidery floss at any of the points to hang it, if you wanted to do that. Something to consider. I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn my chain so that I can work in the back loop. So you just go right in to the second loop from the hook and to the back loop and change. And this is showed more clearly in my single crochet tutorial, which you can find in the playlist. The Crochet Basics playlist. Okay, we're just gonna single crochet all the way down back to our circle. My yarn one is right there. I don't know why my yarn is being split right through here. Oh, silly yarn. Okay. And then this one right here. I'm going to do a single crochet in there, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to join right there, and we're going to end off okay, and then we got a no, it actually goes up this way. Okay. So we'll take care of our ends in a minute. Actually, I'm just going to pull this one down through the next thing and pull it to the back. For now, I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so that's the first one. Now music and music notes. It's very important to remember this. Because if you're giving this to a music person, they will know the difference. In music, the stem is always on the same side, and it may not seem so to you because you may be like familiar enough with music but not know music, and you see it on the other side here. It's because it rotates. So if it's on the other side, it will always be facing down because it always rotates. Maybe it's easier to no. Yeah. This is so much easier once it's actually sewed up. This is important to remember for when you are making it for somebody, is that you need it to be so that it's either this way or this way, never with it on this side, never this way. You'll never see a music note in music backwards unless somebody's being silly. I'm gonna get my next circle to the point where we're ready to join it, and I will meet you back here. I got our circle to the point where we're ready to join. We're actually going to come and bring our yarn to the front, go through here and through the back. So normally when we join, we go through the front and loop it through. We're going to bring our yarn to the front, go through the back of the top of our stitch and pull it through that way, because we're now going to turn our work right there, but we don't want to like twist it weird. Okay, so we're going to do a single crochet in the next spot and a half double crochet in the next spot, and then again we're going to chain 15. And again we're going to work our way back down in the second hook, chain from the hook, and a single crochet in the back loops of our stitches. What happened? Oh. Okay. My yarn all twisted here for a second. Okay, so we did our last one. We're going to go back in and join right here, and we could end off if you want to whip stitch around and just leave a long enough tail to sew all the way around it, or I'm actually, partly because it helps give the stems some strength, I'm going to slip stitch my two pieces together. Seems like my back one ended up taller, but I noticed that some of my stitches were more loose. So I'm guessing that that's what's happened, and the yarn will just adjust itself anyway, so it will be okay. As long as there's truly the same amount of stitches, we're fine. So I'm going to whip stitch these together, but before I do that, I want to pull this up a little bit. I want to sew my little end things. Unfortunately, my metal one that is kind of close by is in use, so I get to use the squeaky plastic again. I'm just gonna kind of secure these so they don't pull open again. I'm just gonna go through a couple of them. Doesn't have to be a lot, so it's just gonna be inside of our thing. And I'm gonna pick somewhere to go back in the same direction through a couple of them, or same direction, the opposite direction. And then this I'm just going to leave tucked in because of this one being the short one. I'm going to also weave this end in just a little bit. I already pulled it through to the back side, and I'm just going to send it towards the middle a little bit. It's got a knot and it'll be tucked inside, and so then these ends I'll just have them stuffed there in the middle of the thing when I put my stuffing in there. And then this one, go under a couple of things, pick a different spot so it catches it, go back through towards the opposite direction, and that's all I feel like you need to keep it closed and keep it from coming out. And then the only reason I'm twisting these is just because it helps kind of tuck those down. We do want this one to be on the back because I work this way around. And so then I'll put this next to it with my stems lined up. And where's my crochet hook? Okay, that was weird. My crochet hook was in the most random spot. I have no clue how it got there. Okay, I'm going to put it back in, pull it back down snug against my work. I'm going to chain one because it makes it easier to start. And then you're going to come in through the front over here next to where the stem is, and then go through that same stitch on the other side in the circle, pull all the way through, and then just keep going because you're slip stitching, so you're going to pull it all the way through. So I'm going to go in the next one in the front and the next one in the back, pull it through there and through there, through the loop. So then the next one all the way through to the back, pull it through underneath and through the top. So that's what I'm doing around. And when I get to, probably about here, I want to leave some space so I can put a little bit of stuffing in there. I'm just going to pull these this way for now. So much for my little, let's wind it up so it can be tucked inside. Silly me. As you can see, once it gets going a little easier, you can just kind of stick it through all four at the same time because they're pretty lined up. All four meaning the front V and the back V. A couple more and then I'll put stuffing in. Okay, I'm going to stick all of these down in. And I guess if you don't really want it, if you want it to stay flat, you could leave it flat. I'm going to put stuffing in. Okay, so I got some stuffing. I don't know how much of this we need. I'm sticking it in towards this side. I just moved my yarn over to there as well. The yarn will count as stuffing. Technically, I have yarn scraps that I could put in as stuffing. I like that. I think that will be a good amount of stuffing. So definitely, if you wanted to use yarn scraps to stuff your little guy, you can totally do that. If you wanted to do your face before you made it into a stuffy, you could have done that too. But I'm not going to do my face until the end. Partly because I like to see where the hat ends up sitting before I make his face. Okay, as you're seeing, we're coming to where the stem is. So we're just going to work up the stem. And it will definitely become the moment of truth as I work up the stem. Did I do one of them the wrong length? That is my question of the hour. Truthfully, if I did, I'm just gonna work with it. For some reason, making this video, like, haven't been willing to. I did resolve one problem. I stuck my fabric on my board so it's not this big drapey thing over it. It's a little less wrinkly. I need to find my little craft iron and kind of iron it. It's just on cardboard, so the cardboard should be okay if it's not touched while the steam is drying or whatever. So I solved one problem. Camera, it's still not something I love. And my back still kind of hurts sometimes because it's just, right now I'm at an awkward angle trying very unsuccessfully to keep this in the center of the board. The lighting, I know, is horrible. Working on these things, resolving them as best as I can, as quickly as I can. So, what would it take to have an amazing lighting situation? Really, truly, what would it take to have an awesome YouTube studio? That's what I really want. It's like a whole fancy setup that's my YouTube studio, maybe with soundproof walls so that I don't have to worry about the kids and the dog when they're outside. That would be way cool, actually. So, we'll see. At 300 subscribers, I don't know that it matters right now, right? We're just doing our best with what we've got. Okay, I'm going to go in front and back right here because it's at the end and I'm finding it hard to hold on to anything. Okay, so we've worked up one side and as you can see, did stretch out and I do have the right number of stitches. So I'm just going to keep going around through the front ones and the back ones. It's a little awkward here at the top just because it's such a skinny thing you're holding on to. But it works out. Also, I did want to mention if you wanted to put your loop here, again, what you could do is hold it, go in behind, pull that and pull it in through there, and then go into your next place and pull that back one through, all the way through, let go of your loop, and keep working. And then that gives you a loop that you could hang it from the tree right there. So that's one option if you wanted to hang it from the tree by loop up there. I think I'll do that this time. Just because it's already there. Other places you could put a loop for hanging it on the tree is you could put the loop right here, which would be between the hat, and hang it so that that was its place, its balance point. You could put it on the hat like I did in my original, which I will put right up it. Well, I'll put over the screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'll put that there. It kind of all depends on how you want it to hang. Maybe I'll make another one with the black. I already gave away the one, the first one I made, so give it to my friend. We hardly ever see each other, and she was in town, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you this. She came to celebrate my birthday with me and to give herself a break, and it was a nice gift for both of us. Okay, we're getting close here, and we don't want to end it too soon because, as you can see, I can stick my finger in there. So we still want to get through both sides here. Can look a little awkward because we're right here at this junction. And then I'm going to pull it through the last one, and I'm going to end off. This would be a pretty good place actually to put your loop, because you could end off and then when you sew in your ends, leave a loop there, and it would hang like that from there, and this would be up. If you're oh, I'm gonna pull it all the way. I was gonna say, if it's having issues, the other thing you can do is block it. And acrylic's interesting, but you could still block it this way. Block it so that stays flat. With acrylic, it kind of actually melts the yarn a little bit because it is plastic, but that's okay. I could have done my loop one over. Might have looked a little better, but this will work. It will work. It's just large. So if I were to put my loop here, then I would do this and like make a little knot before I tighten my end. But I'm not, so I'm going to tie in my end. Just gonna pick somewhere to send it down in. I can feel if I'm catching yarns on the inside, and I can see my blue plastic. Not as well with this yarn because it's almost the same color. So I can feel if I'm catching anything, and I do want to catch some things on the inside of that yarn. And I like to send it through again. I don't necessarily need to catch it the next time or two that I send it through. It puts the end more secure down in there so that you don't lose it. Doesn't come out. Tug just a tiny bit. Snip it real close, and then when you squish it back, it will go back down in. And now you have a music note. And here's the other thing. You could decide to do a base note. Well, technically on the base clef it goes both ways, but you could decide to hang it down. Maybe you have an alto friend that is used to seeing her notes hanging down, because a lot of times they will. And you could put the hat here and have it an upside down music note, which would still work. But remember, if it's this way, this has to be on this side. If it's standing up, it goes on this side. Now, when I put the hat on, my first one kind of hung at an angle because of the hat being the loop place. This should hang a little more straight because this is. We'll see what happens when we get a hat on. So, that's it. And I'm going to wait to do his face until I have done his hat. So, let's do his hat. With your white, be sure to leave a long tail for sewing his hat onto his head. Make your knot. You're going to chain 15. Okay. You're going to keeping your chain flat. You're going to come around and you're going to hook it in so that it doesn't twist, and you're going to pull your loop up in. You can work over the end just a tiny bit if you want to. Chain 1, single crochet in the same spot, and single crochet in the next one and the next one. That's all the length of chain I'm going to work. Tail I'm going to work over because I want this to stay to the back for sewing it on. I am working in just like the front loops, regular. It's not important to me to work in the back loops, but if you want the look of a back loop, you can totally do that. So when I get all the way around, we will have 15 single crochets. I think this is 15. I didn't actually count it, I just crocheted. So 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and then this is 15. So I'm going to just join there in the top of my thing, and then I'm going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet around again. There's no turning of your work, you just keep going. Okay, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of your first one, and we're just going to end this off. Okay, we're actually, instead of leaving it like this, we're going to rotate it in on itself and flip it around. And then we're going to turn it so that we have the knot to us. Get your red or your hat color in case you're choosing to do a different hat color. We're actually going to just do a slip stitch. We're just going to do a knot, and then we're going to probably back just 1 stitch or so from it. We're going to work into the back loop. So we have the little V. We usually go under both. We're just going to go under the back V leg, and we're going to just do a single crochet. Snug this on your hook before you go through so it's the right size. You're going to go through as best you can where the knot is. It's going to be in the back, so it shouldn't be too bad if it's off. I couldn't figure out how to get mine to go into the back loop only in that spot. And then I'm just going to, I work over my tail because I can. I'm probably going to work over it around the whole thing. The back loop is cool because it kind of makes it pop out from this, which looks a little bit like the fur on a hat. Every once in a while I have to pull my tail tight and then stretch it back out so it's not too loose underneath and also not too tight underneath my stitches. I'll probably do that again before I end just to make sure, but it was kind of bugging me there for a second because it's pretty loose in there, and when it's loose, like, you can kind of see it poking sometimes. Looks like I have 2 more, and then I'm going to count my stitches to make sure. And then count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and then there's my 15th. I just remember blah, blah, blah. If you felt like you needed to change the size of it, do so by 3. So go up 3 stitches or down 3 stitches in order to keep the count easy for the rest of your project. Okay, and I'm gonna cut this off here because I do not need that anymore. Not cutting my thing. Put that in my scraps for the next project. And just join there at the top of that last one. So as you can see, I have one that's not, but the rest are all right there, making it pop out, and that's going to be in the back, so it's not too big of a deal. It shows. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to single crochet in the same spot. I'm going to work over my yarn, and I'm going to single crochet 3 times. And then I'm going to do a decrease. Okay, and then I'm going to single crochet 3 times. And then I'm gonna do a decrease. And to do a decrease, you're gonna you're gonna go in and pull up as if you're going to do a single crochet, but leave them there. Go into the next one and pull up as if you're gonna go do a single crochet, and then go through all 3. That's how you decrease single crochets. Do 3 more single crochets. And then 1 more decrease. And then I'm going to trim my tail here. And I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the next one. And we should have 12 stitches around now. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to single crochet all the way around. When I've got my 12, I'm going to slip stitch in the top. See, it's looking pretty cute. Chain 1. This time we're going to do our decrease first. So we're going to go in and pick up a stitch, go into the next one and pick up a stitch, do a decrease. And we're going to do 2 single crochets. 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to do a decrease. And single crochet twice. Single crochet in the next one, single crochet in the next one, and 1 more time, do a decrease, single crochet, single crochet. You should have 9 single crochets around. So you're going to slip stitch in the top, and then you're going to chain 1, and you are going to do 9 single crochets. And if you notice, because this is kind of small, you have to keep scrunching it around in order to get in the spot that you need. Usually I end up doing about 2 and then I have to scrunch it some more. And because I was talking, I wasn't counting. Okay, I just want to point out to you that even experienced crocheters, as I've been doing this for 40 something years, have to undo some things. I'm going back to my last decrease row because I did not count. And my next row was not working, so I have gone back, and I'll meet you when I finish it. I think I figured out what I did wrong, because I just joined somewhere instead of counting to make sure I was joining in the right place. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I need to join right there. And then I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in 9 around. Okay, one thing I was trying to say before I all messed up, which is part of what messed me up, is that if you'll notice I have to keep turning my work a little bit, like scrunching it. I usually do about 2 stitches and then I have to move it because this is so small. Then my 9 is down right there. What'd I do? I twisted things. Okay, so I did my decrease round and then a straight round, decrease round, a straight round, decrease round, a straight round. And now I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to single crochet in that first stitch, and I'm going to do a decrease. I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch. I'm going to do a decrease. I like to offset my decreases when I can. Single crochet in the next one, and then my last decrease here, and then join to my first one, which should be 6 around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. It's hard to count when it's this small sometimes. And then I'm going to single crochet all the way around 6 times. So 1, now I have to turn it even sooner. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, it is getting tight. One of the problems with giving things away is you don't have it for a reference anymore. Okay, so I finished my 6 stitches around. I'm going to bring in my white. If you want to tie off your red, you can. I'm just going to actually undo this join. And where I would normally pull in the red to join it, I'm going to actually add my white right there. Okay, so I pulled it all the way through, so it's a join. I'm going to trim my red. And because this is such a small space, I'm actually going to tie my 2 ends together. Just one time to help kind of keep them not too loose. I'm going to single crochet, and I'm going to single crochet in that stitch. I'm going to say 2 single crochets in that stitch. And then I'm going to 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and 2 single crochets in my next stitch. And then I'm going to 1 single crochet in my next one, and 2 single crochets in my last one. Oh, wait, was that? Nope, I need 1 more. How many do I have? 3, 4. I'm going to count my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 single crochets. So an increase and 1 stitch, increase and 1 stitch, increase and 1 stitch, which means I need 1 more stitch. Okay. I think I'm actually going to tie this a second time. That way, if I can't get my ends tied in, they'll still be secure. And I can just tuck them down in. Okay, I'm going to join at the top here. And then I'm going to loosen this for a second because I'm going to go in and pull those down through. Just going to grab them and pull them down into the hat. So they'll just be in there. If you wanted to stuff your hat today, you could. I don't know if I will. I'm going to think about that. Do I want it to be a stuffed hat? Or do I want it to just be flat? Okay, chain 1. And we're going to single crochet, and now we're going to do a decrease. Kind of we're doing the opposite now. And a single crochet. And a decrease. And a single crochet. And a decrease. And join to the top over here. It's a little tight. Working on these smaller bits can be a little bit tricky. I'm going to end this off. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail because I want to use it to sew. And pull it through. Get my yarn needle. Okay. If you, well, I'll talk about that in a second. You're just going to kind of go around the little stitches as best you can. And then snug it up. If you wanted to put your loop here, this is where you would put your loop, and so you'd go around, and then you just like tie a knot right here, but keeping this up loop tight. But I don't want a knot there, but I do want to come down to where my white and my red meet. And I just want to go in and out of the stitches here, around. I want to make sure I'm ending on my back, and I'm going to snug it a little bit. And that's to help it look a little more like a pom-pom. Which, if you wanted to glue a pom-pom on instead, you could end the red and glue a pom-pom on. I'm going to pull out that, so just kind of shaping it a little bit. And then I'm going to go send this down in. I want to catch the red stuff if I can, but I don't want to see my needle at all, because this is white going inside of red, so I want to feel that it's catching on the inside, but I don't want to see my needle at all because it will show the white. Pull that down in there, and I'm gonna probably go like this, and I'm just gonna tie this in here as well, because why not? Because I only went through a couple and I want it to be secure, and I got the tails in there anyway. If you want to cut off your tail, you can. Otherwise, it's there. Still leave this long one. I'm going to tuck these up in here. I still haven't decided, do I want to stuff it? Think about that and look at that. Do we want to stuff it? Because you could put a tiny bit of stuffing inside the hat. You wouldn't want to put a lot, but a little bit of stuffing. Got my ends in there. That's some stuffing. And then he's gonna go on here with my, remember, this goes up the outside. We're gonna put it with the back to the back. Let me try a little bit of stuffing. How about instead of a little bit of stuffing, how about my little mistake? I made a mistake today, and I will use that to tuck in there instead of stuffing. That makes me laugh. But it's good. It doesn't waste yarn. Oh, that's gonna be cute. Stuffed. I like it stuffed. A little stuffed out there. Okay. So then the next step is to attach the hat, which is why we had to leave a long tail. Which is why I made a mistake, because I did not leave any long tails. And I was like, I needed a long tail. So I had to redo it. Okay, so I'm just going to find somewhere to attach it. Make sure I like the way that it looks as I'm going around. Again, you don't have to stuff your hat, of course. It was a decision I made. I'm just going to kind of catch some on the hat and catch some of the music note. I don't want to go too far down on the music note or I'll have weird loops. Don't want weird loops. So I do want to be careful that wherever I'm putting catching in is not going to be showing anything. This is another way, if you wanted to hurry and put a loop here and have your loop in the center, you could do it while you're attaching your hat, and that would be kind of cute too. Before I've had it here, which means its hanging point is like this. If you had it there, its hanging point would be like that, which is not a bad place, and then this one's hanging point is going to be like that. So I kind of think next time I'm going to put it in the middle and keep that my middle spot. But like, that's the wonderful thing about creating things like this, is you get to play with it a little bit. You can follow the pattern, but then you can also make little adjustments. And, you know, say, you know what, I don't like the way that sits. Let me put my, oops, my loop somewhere else. Because this is my front, I really want to make sure that this is where I want it to be. You could, I have bobby pins. You could use a couple of bobby pins to help you place it on there. One of the reasons I want to do this is my brim keeps turning up underneath. That will help hold it down. And just kind of help place it and help me see where I want it to be. I think it's cute stuffed, but I think I actually liked it better not stuffed. I'm gonna take it off and unstuff it. And I don't like the way it's attached. And that's one of the nice things also is I haven't tied anything off. It is a little bit of a pain. Whoops. It's a really big pain when you tie a knot accidentally. It's a little bit of a pain to take it off, but not impossible. So I'm gonna take this out. Wanting to split my yarn there because I caught it funny. But I'm going to take this off and take that little piece of brim that I mistaked off and take that back out. And I'm going to pull it because I don't like the way I attached it right here, so I'm going to take the whole thing off. I'll be back. I will tell you, the challenge with trying to unpick it is figuring out which, kind of pulling it apart enough to see what I actually am supposed to pull. And using a plastic needle isn't great. Let's see. I've got a metal crochet hook that I keep around for my knitting. It's the steel. I shall use this to stick in underneath and pull out. So this part's easy. It pulls. Once you get it kind of going, you can kind of tug up and see, you know, where your bits are. So it's not too bad. Okay. I took out the thing and then I'm kind of loosening up my little yarn bits in there. I think they'll be okay. I think that's just the perfect amount of stuffing for it. And then I'm now actually, now that I've thought of it, I'm going to pull out my bobby pins. And I'm going to actually decide where I want it on and pin it down with my bobby pins. I think that will help me get it where I want it to be. I want to put another one over here. Oops. And then I will be reattaching this and I'll meet you when it's attached. Let me tell you really quickly what I'm liking here. As I've come up here, I'm going to go down over and then catch my green. And then I'm going to go kind of basically up in the same spot. I'm liking that for pulling it down where I want it and then going over again. It's also preventing any loops of white showing because I'm basically going up in the same place I went down. And so it kind of pulls it down over that. And then I can go over again. I'm liking that. I like that technique. Pretty much going back up in the white in the same spot. And then just over and down a little bit in another spot. I'm going to take this, I don't need this one anymore. once you've got it around, you can find a place to, like a hidden place to kind of tie a knot. I like tying a knot on these things just because then I know it's not coming undone. Unfortunately, I have had things other people have made that have come undone, so now I've kind of become pretty anal about it. So just making sure there's some kind of knot, or I'm going through the yarn underneath, something that I know for sure it's catching securely. Okay, so there we go. See, I like it with a little bit of space there, and it's gonna hang like that. So it's hanging differently. I am probably going to put a little steam on this just to hold it in. We had like a little tiny doweling. You could stick a doweling in there just to keep it straight and stiff. And then I think I'm really going to want to start putting my hanging thing right here. I think that's the preferred way of hanging it. But there we go. There's how it's going to hang. And now he needs a face. So probably about 2 or 3 feet. And just keep it all 6 strands. If you are using a smaller yarn, you might want to keep more strands. I'm going to pick, where do I want his eye to be? I like the idea that his face is here with the mouth and the eyes, and that the hat's off to the side because of that's how it fits over. So I'm going to put his eye right here. And I'm just going to pick somewhere to go under. And I'm going to leave a bit of a tail to start with. I know that that's not typical, but that's what I'm going to do. I don't know why. I just want to give him some, pick your shape of your eye. I think I'm just going to do little slits, like oval shaped. We'll take care of that tail in a minute. I'm going to go over and I'm going to be, okay, like his eye over here is over here on this side. And I'm going to go around just like I did before. Give him an eye here. You are welcome to give him whatever shape eye you want. Go around it however many times you want. And then I'm going to decide where I want his mouth to be. Pushing through some of the cotton inside the polyfill. Okay, so there's his eyes, except for this bit, which I'll tuck in. Basically what I'm going to do is going to go over one more time and send it down in through to the back. Okay, to do his mouth, I'm going to do a couple of loops just right here. In the same spot. And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to go over a little bit. Give him the bottom of his mouth. I am not perfect at this. Oops, that was by far not perfect at this. See? Don't do what I did. Don't follow me. Follow somebody who actually makes amigurumis. They seem to do so much better than me. I don't even want my thing to go there. Okay. Put this back on. You can undo anything you don't like. It took me many moons to figure out my last one. Did not like the way that his mouth turned out at the beginning. You know what? I don't like the way his mouth's turning out this time either. See? Don't follow me, guys. Only follow me for the actual crocheting. Don't follow me for the faces. I do horrible faces. Okay, that's not true. Every once in a while I get a cute face. Okay, I'm just gonna make it longer. Come over to here and kind of do right there. So it's kind of a little V mouth, but it will probably end up looking perfect. Because, you know, why not? Hold that one too tight. And if I go down again, I don't want to go in the same spot because I want it to be 3 over. So I'm just going to pull it out to the back. And pull it. And that's his mouth. And I'm going to do a very tiny underneath everything, barely grabbing yarn kind of knot, because I just am that paranoid, especially with this stuff. It's small, smaller than everything else. I'm afraid that it will really easily come out. So I'm going to make sure my knot hides down in, pull it a little tight to pull it off, and then I'm going to come back in, pick my original yarn, or my tail, original tail, go back over his eye, but I'm going to find a way to send it somewhere out the back. Apparently it's coming out his hat. And then I'm going to, again, find just a little spot to make a little knot right there. And send it back down through so I can't see the knot. And there's his silly face. Ha ha! Isn't he cute? Isn't he cute? And that, my folks, is my silly tutorial for a silly music note. Like I said, I'm going to get some steam because it will kind of help melt the yarn, if you will, and hold it in its shape, because it just doesn't want, today does not want to stand up straight. I didn't have to do that with my black. So you may or may not have to, depends on how your yarn is cooperating. Alright, I'm back here after doing my black one, and I wanted to show you a couple of things. First of all, I was able to go across my knot in the back without, and be able to catch the back loop. I know sometimes it's harder than others, and I guess that's what I was showing you, is that I'm not perfect, and I did that. I put my loop here at the thing, but when I hold it, it falls like that. I don't know if you can see that. It just looks funny the way that it falls, like, especially because this is actually supposed to, I need to press this or steam this one up because it needs to go up more. I'm trying to use my board, but I have no light down here, to kind of show you how it just hangs weird here. And so I am putting in just embroidery floss. I picked a spot. I kind of actually like the idea of using embroidery floss because then you can attach it after the fact and then decide where you want it. And I haven't tied this up yet, so I'm gonna reshift this down. I'm just going to pick about how long I want my thing to be, and I'm just gonna do the kind where you take the two ends and tuck it in like that, make it, and then I'll trim these. So there's my knot. So I'm going to trim above my knot, and then because I've got this here already. It's what I'm gonna do, because I did it where as I was going around, so I can't just cut it off because could possibly cause everything to come undone. I'm gonna kind of go up in through what I've already crocheted and see if I can pull those down into I wanted it to go through the back. So I'm going to go up in through, try to come up here and see if I can just pull this down in. I need to see if I can pull some more of it down in. If I can get it to all stick in there, that would be awesome. And then I gotta figure out how to, there we go. Okay, so that way, I just tucked it in all the way. The other thing I did with this one, I don't know if I told you this already, I put his face on before I made his hat. Alrighty, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit before we're done here about what I did here. You'll see, I couldn't find my iron, but as you can see, it does stand a little bit straighter. I sprayed it with water, then turned the hair dryer on it. I had the hair dryer on the highest heat setting with the lowest blow setting, and it's still a little bit down, but it will stay like that. And because it hangs here, I'm not worried about, you know, like maybe at the beginning of next year I might have to do blocking again just because this will get scrunched down in the box or whatever, but I'm not worried about that. However, this one here, I tried that with him, the spraying and ironing, and it worked to a degree, but because it hangs by this, it would still bend. Like if I were to hold this one by this, you can see it starts to curve. So what I did was I got toothpicks. Here's an end, a piece of it. I just got some toothpicks that I had. Look, I can hold it. See, toothpick. I put one over here. I broke off probably like that much because that's how much I could squish in to the space, and I sent that one down here. Although this bends right here, they actually overlap where they are, and I sent the other one up towards the end and then broke them. But the good news is that holds it straight. So I'm pretty excited about that. Just a toothpick. That's how I resolved that issue with this one. I may actually go in and put a couple toothpicks in this one just to make sure that it holds straight, even though it's going to be hanging from here. And I think he is just so adorable. So we got him and him. So there you go. And with that, I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope it is very merry and bright, and happy holidays. Some of you may not even be Christian but still watch this, and that's okay. I wish you a joyous winter. Whatever holiday happens to be yours, merry day. Remember to let your light shine through your creations, and I will see you guys next time.